Hello, dear friends. This issue demonstrates the power of spirit over matter, and is one of my favorite subjects. This piece is not like the others, because I am going to try to describe a very deep and sublime subject. Opinion piece. What is the rainbow body? A miracle witnessed by many. It would be the purest form of Transcending. It would be straight similar to Ascension. There are more than 160,000 documented cases. The body dissolves into a rainbow at death. It occurs when the clear light of the self, the clear light of being, is attained. The Taoists call it the diamond body. The emerald tablet calls it the golden body. The Corpus Hermeticum calls it the Immortal body. It requires a mind and body made of light. David Wilcock investigated this subject deeply. Those who can achieve it are called the Immortals. Kriya Yoga calls it the Blissful body. This phenomenon could explain the resurrection of Jesus. This phenomenon is a sign that enlightenment has been attained. Perfection of the body achieves beauty, grace, power, and toughness. This tradition goes back to Padmasambhava or Guru Rinpoche. Shaolin monks achieve incredible abilities with their body. This teaching can be found in different spiritual paths. The Primordial State consists of reaching unity with the universe. Certain meditation practices can alter the appearance of the body. This is achieved through solitary retreats and deep meditations. Let's start. For years, I've heard of yogis, lamas, and advanced alchemists who managed to dissolve their physical body in light without leaving any material trace other than a rainbow. But before that they create a divine radiance, a golden aura like the saints. It would be the purest way to transcend physically, to change dimension or transmute matter into light. Transcending in this way requires great skill and following a very strict sadhana or ascetic discipline. The physical ascension of the rainbow body is very real according to my research. The rainbow is a natural phenomenon that symbolizes renewal, hope, and is the connecting element between heaven and earth. This was the symbol God used to represent his promise to send no more floods after the great universal flood. Therefore, the rainbow symbolizes divine faithfulness. It is popularly said that there is a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, which makes it associated with fortune. This phenomenon also represents the bridge used by gods and heroes to travel the path between earth and heaven. According to a legend, Buddha descended from the heaven using a 7-colored ladder, a rainbow. For the Chinese, the rainbow is the yin-yang of the Tao. They believe that the combination of its colors represents this symbol of Taoism. Documented cases. Did you know that in Tibet and India alone there are more than 160,000 documented cases of people who, after many years of spiritual preparation, managed to transform their physical body into a light body of pure energy? To achieve a rainbow body, a human being has to be able to release his or her body into the light by having holy thoughts, among other things, of course. It is believed that every 5 years on average, an advanced Buddhist monk enters that enlightened state. This process is extremely powerful, and it is said that a few weeks before being able to achieve this transformation, some Buddhist monks may carve their hand or foot on a wall. It would reportedly take about 7 days for the body to shrink, dissolve into light and transcend. According to the Dzogchen, This phenomenon would be a very clear sign that one has attained enlightenment in this very life, which is the supreme attainment of Buddhahood. Only a few high-ranking monks who have cultivated to the level of master attain this level, and the human body assumes the form of a rainbow. At the moment of death, the body continues to glow, the skeleton continues to shrink and gradually disappear, and the human body becomes completely iridescent. The physical body will automatically become light and sound a few days after death, and in the end only a few hairs and fingernails and solid relics of various colors and transparent, or simply nothing is left. According to records, the greatest achievement of the mystery of rainbow transformation is that after the body is completely transformed into light, the light can condense back into a rainbow body the size of a 3-year-old child, which is called an immortal rainbow. When Sakyamuni Buddha died, they tried to cremate his body 3 times, but it couldn't be completely burnt because it had become a diamond body. Nowadays, the relics of Buddha's fingers shine in public. The ray of light is like a column, and does not radiate in a straight line, but also bends freely. The body of the person touched by the light appears transparent. Adamantine Body. Among the 1,001 supernatural occurrences that can be achieved by walking spiritual path, one of the most poetic to the eye is that of the adamantine body of the phenomenon of the rainbow body. In the most advanced yogis, this achievement has been recorded many times over the centuries. Patanjali refers to the adamantine body when he speaks in his famous Yoga Sutras of the fruits that the practice of Samyana brings, among them the perfection of the body, which equals an adamantine beauty, irresistible grace, power, and hardness. The rainbow body is a term that describes a state of being in which an individual has transcended all suffering and reached a state of complete union with the universe and the consciousness of creation. Some monks in Shaolin monastery manage to do incredible feats with their body, but this wouldn't not exactly be the rainbow body, but something similar. This state of being is very similar to what is described as Ascension. In times past, it was defined as Enlightenment. In the state of completely destroying the separate, selfish self, the negative ego, which then emerges as the servant of the universal will, that is always supportive, the benefit of all beings. But there are many other ways to describe this state of being, such as universal consciousness, ascended, sovereign, self-mastered, self-actualized, and so on. Research. David Wilcock and William Henry are researchers who have included the teachings of the rainbow body in their work. The practice of Trekcho that David Wilcock mentions in his presentation is one of the main practices of Dzogchen. The Bible, as well as ancient Greek and Egyptian texts, include stories of those who defied death through forms of ascension, but for many, the most compelling stories of transcendence are the accounts of the Tibetan Buddhist tradition of the rainbow body. In Tibetan Buddhism, it is said that certain meditation practices can alter the appearance of the body, transforming it into 5 radiant lights. The name given to this physical fluorescence is rainbow body again. While ascension stories come from the distant past, such as those of Enoch and Lazarus, some examples of rainbow body occurrences from this century are documented and available. Some believe that Ascension and the attainment of the rainbow body are the same, but arguably there are differences. The Tibetan Buddhist rainbow body is the result of years of specific and disciplined practice with the motivation of deep compassion for all beings. In Sufism, it is called the most sacred body and the supra-celestial body. Taoists refer to it as the diamond body, and those who had attained it are called the Immortals and cloud walkers. The yogic schools and tantric teachings call it the divine body, while in Kriya yoga it is known as the body of bliss. In Vedanta, it is called the superconducting body, while the ancient Egyptians called it the luminous body of being or the Karast. In the Mitraic liturgy, it was dubbed the perfect body. In the Corpus Hermeticum, it is known as the immortal body, while in the alchemical tradition, the emerald tablet calls it the golden body. However, this amazing phenomenon is not exclusive to antiquity, as there are recent testimonies of Tibetan monks who reached this state after a profound process of purification. A real case. In 1998, a Tibetan Buddhist monk named Khenpo Acho was able to attain an ancient metaphysical phenomenon known as the rainbow body. Although this was the most recent record of a rainbow body, there have been more than 160,000 people who have allegedly achieved the rainbow body through the Tibetan Buddhist practice of Dzogchen. Catholic priest Francis Tiso documented the case of Khenpo Acho, a Gelugpa monk from Kham, Tibet, who died in 1998 and succeeded in transforming himself into a body of light. Tiso witnessed a rainbow appear over Khenpo's house a few days before he transcended in September 1988, and dozens of rainbows appeared thereafter. Khenpo Acho's body began to change shortly after his last breath. His skin turned bright white, and he began to change his appearance. The body began to disappear as time passed, and after several days there was no body left. A Nepalese monk recalls this transfiguration of Acho, in quotes. One day, lying in bed, not having suffered from any recent illness, while in the posture of a sleeping lion and reciting the 6-syllable mantra, he attained Buddha in the basic primordial matrix of alpha purity, to his heart of light of clear reality perfected beyond intellect. As his body dissolved into light, his wrinkles disappeared and he looked like an 8-year-old boy with a beautiful complexion. Rainbows appeared inside and out, and a pleasant aroma permeated the place. His body gradually decreased in size, and in the end there was nothing left. No one knows where he went. David Steindl-Rast, a Benedictine monk, proposed in 2002 to initiate scientific research with the Institute of Noetic Sciences to investigate the rainbow body, saying that, in quotes, "If we can establish as an anthropological fact what is described in the resurrection of Jesus has not only happened to others but is happening today, that would put our view of human potential in a completely different light." David Wilcock. According to David Wilcock, Padmasambhava performed a number of different miracles during his time on earth, and Wilcock even suggests that he may have been an extraterrestrial. Wilcock claims that Padmasambhava could fly, transform rocks into sculptures with his mind, and leave his hand and footprint in solid stone. Padmasambhava was an important teacher, renowned for bringing Buddhism to Tibet, among other places. He is the founder of the Tibetan school of Nyingma Buddhism and the internal tantras in the 8th century. He is one of the 84 Mahasiddhas, or great adepts of Tibet, who attained the rainbow body. Guru Rinpoche has left traces of his body in various places, such as on the wall of a cave near the temple of Kurje Lakang, or his handprint on the rock as if it had been melted like butter at the entrance of the Asura cave, located in Pharping outside Kathmandu, Nepal. In addition, Padmasambhava also did some treasure texts of dharmas in lakes, caves, hills and forests in the Himalayan region and elsewhere, to be found and interpreted by future spiritual treasure seekers. His mantra is Om Ahum Vajra Padmasiddhihum. I repeat it, Om Ahum Vajra Guru Padmasiddhihum, which is chanted in this way. Om Ahum Vajra Padmasiddhihum. Om Ahum Vajra Guru Padmasiddhihum. Padmasambhava is also known as the originator of one of the oldest Tibetan Buddhist schools, the Nyingma school, and there are many monuments dedicated to him throughout South Asia. Visitors can travel to one of these monuments and see the imprint of his hand or foot still in the stone. In one of his lectures, Wilcock brings up an image of Padmasambhava's handprint and points out that he has 6 fingers instead of 5, which Wilcock points to as a proof that the Guru may have been an extraterrestrial, a typical 6-fingered giant. Primordial State. While Wilcock's argument about extraterrestrials is very intriguing and potentially valid, many believe it departs from deep-rooted traditions in Tibetan Buddhism by attributing a spiritual state to something otherworldly. The primordial state refers to the purest and altered state of being. In fact, many might also describe it as God consciousness or the ability to attain oneness with the universe. Although in Tibetan Buddhism it is traditionally taught as the great perfection, Wilcock speaks of Dzogchen more as a state of being itself, rather than as a specific traditional teaching. He described it as timeless, formless, and capable of perceiving, experiencing, reflecting, and expressing all forms. This describes what is believed to be the essence of our soul, and what many would call the divine or God. Wilcock does a great job of covering the broad basics of the rainbow body and some of the Tibetan Buddhist practices that are used to achieve such an incredible state of being. However, he falls short of capturing some of the finer details, such as the fact that many Tibetan Buddhist practices have been passed down for thousands of years only between guru and student, known as the parampara or lineage. This means that there is far more knowledge about the rainbow body and the practices of those who have attained it that we will probably ever know. Generosity. Throughout Buddhist history, there have been a number of dedicated individuals called bodhisattvas who attained enlightenment for the sole purpose of helping others or to do the same. Attaining a rainbow body is very much aligned with this path of delaying one's own nirvana in the service of empathy for others. By attaining a rainbow body, one is able to transcend death and continue on through spirit. In addition, people of other religions, such as Hinduism and Christianity, have been able to achieve a rainbow body. Some even believe that Jesus Christ achieved a rainbow body, which is why his body disappeared from the tomb after his crucifixion. Those who claim to have interacted with Jesus after his death claim to have seen him walk through a closed door in a visible state. Those who are able to reach this state do not do it to show off and do magic, but do it for the good of all humankind. Guru Rinpoche. In Tibet and Central Asia, the Buddhist tradition of the rainbow body dates back to the 8th century, beginning with the great master Padmasambhava or Guru Rinpoche, but documentation from the 20th and 21st centuries shows that it is not a myth or a legend. Practitioners from the highest lamas to the humblest lay people have attained the rainbow body. Padmasambhava didn't grow old or die, he simply passed away. But all of the teachings he left behind, Dzogchen is considered the most profound and complete. When Padmasambhava departed at the end of his time in physical form, he dissolved his body completely down to its natural elements, leaving nothing behind. At that moment, a new lineage of Buddhist teaching was created. This was the beginning of what has become the Nyingma tradition, and is the basis of Tibetan Buddhism as we know it. At the heart of the Nyingma tradition is the practice of Dzogchen, also called Ati Yoga or the Great Perfection. Generally, the person who has entered meditation before death continues to maintain the meditation posture. He or she doesn't collapse or show rigor mortis. The body, especially the area around the heart, remains warm. Medical science has proven this in the case of the 16th Karmapa, Rangum Dorje, who died in a Chicago hospital in 1981. In his book, The Rainbow Body and Resurrection by Michael Sheehy, the author writes, in quotes, "In Dzogchen cosmology, the cosmos is conceived of as totally open and translucent. Movement occurs as the element of air stirs the rapidly oscillating wind in fire. From fire arises water, and from water the solidity of rock and earth is stabilized. With this gravitational collapse in the elemental forces that compose the cosmos, a spiral reconfigures matter into wells where embodied beings are formed. Think of high vibrational states slowing down to dense matter. Facts of light. The Adamantine Body refers to a diamond-like body or Vajra in Sanskrit. Vajra also means lightning and refers to light, a pure and evolved consciousness. Vajra then alludes to a mind that is quick, strong and luminous like lightning, and pure, sharp and indestructible like a diamond. A completely pure mind brings as a reflection a completely pure body. A completely pure body can be understood as a body that has undergone spiritual alchemy, in which the elements that make up the body have been sublimated into its purest essence, light. At the base of our body are the atoms, then the particles that make up the atom, and beyond that, the quarks, and finally, reaching the deepest, we could understand the most essential matter as the manifestations of the same light vibrating at different frequencies, giving rise to apparently different matter, but it is ultimately the same light that is at the base. One can find in different spiritual paths the teaching that what is at the base of everything is the light. But what is needed to really experience it is not simply to believe it on a superficial level, but to really believe it, just as we believe in the world around us. The awakening of consciousness brought about by the practice of yoga through solitary retreats, and deep meditations is a means to concretely access this experience. The implications of the awareness that our body is only light have to do with the fact that ultimately one can manage one's body as light, appearing or disappearing here and reappearing there. This is a very rare city of power in yoga, but real, and history gives an account of those yogis who have acquired it. Dissolution of elements. When the body dissolves into a rainbow at death. References to the Adamantine Body can also be found in Tibetan Buddhism, where it is known as the Rainbow Body. According to this tradition, the Rainbow Body is a supreme level of evolution of consciousness. Parallel to this degree of evolution can be the phenomenon of the Rainbow Body. This phenomenon is, in the eyes of a third person, the concrete evidence of the highest degree of evolution of the consciousness of the practitioner. We can say of those humankind who have attained the rainbow body at the level of consciousness, that is the concrete perception that light is at the basis of matter, that their level of consciousness is equivalent to an enlightened mind. In them, at the moment of death, the phenomenon of the rainbow body can occur, which is the sign that the body, as a reflection of the mind, had also been purified to the level of its most essential matter, the light. At that moment, they are dissolved and reduced to the essential energies that compose the elements earth, water, fire, and air, which compose the cells of the body. These energies manifest themselves in different colors, like rays of light that forms rainbows that leave the body. This is the evidence that the alchemy of the elements had already taken place in the body of the person during the life of the practitioner. The only thing that remains of the body is the remains of nails and hair, but everything else becomes colored light, and sometimes nothing is left. Definition. According to Michael Shinny, in Tibetan Buddhism, it is said that certain meditation practices can alter the appearance of the body, transforming it into 5 radiant lights. The name given to this physical fluorescence is rainbow body. In the Vajrayana traditions of Tibetan Buddhism, tangible matter is considered to be made up of 5 elements: space, air, fire, water, and earth. As described in Tibetan literary sources, including the Tibetan Book of Death, or Bador Todol, the elemental energies that make up the cosmos are understood to be undifferentiated from those that make up the human body. Thus, the body is at the same time an individual and the cosmic whole. Certain Buddhist meditation practices aim to alter the gravitational field of these 5 elements that make up the body, transforming them into the 5 radiant lights of the color spectrum. The Tibetan name given to this physical fluorescence is Halu, which literally means rainbow body. Rainbow body is also the name given to the transformation of the ordinary physical body as a result of years of specific disciplined practices. Throughout the last century, reports of rainbow bodies have sporadically emerged from within Tibet. Tibetan traditions have identified signs that indicate when a practitioner has attained the rainbow body. While alive, the bodies of these beings are said to cast a shadow in neither lamplight nor sunlight. Upon death, the physical body is said to drastically decrease in size and exude fragrances and perfumes instead of the odors of decomposition. A common Tibetan metric for the shrunken body of a rainbow is the length of a forearm. Other signs are the sudden blooming of exotic plants and flowers at any time of the year, as well as the appearance of rainbows in the sky. There is a special type of rainbow body known as the Great Transference to the Rainbow Body, or Yalupowa Chemo. This is the complete transfer of the material body to the radiance, so that all that remains of the body is hair and nails. Although the historical origins of this phenomenon are not well studied, the concept of the rainbow body is associated with the 8th century Dzogchen meditation master Padmasambhava or Guru Rinpoche, who, according to legend, achieved the great transference and entered a deathless state of being. Throughout the last century, reports from within Tibet of rainbow bodies have emerged sporadically, although in recent decades there has been an upturn in accounts. The best known case is that of Yilumpa Sona Namgyal, who attained the rainbow body in 1952, as recounted by Chögyam Trungpa Rinpoche in his memoir entitled Born in Tibet. There is also the case of Changchup Dorje, a physician and leader of a Dzogchen community in the Nyerong region of eastern Tibet, as told by Chögyam Namkai Norbu in his book The Crystal and the Path of Light. How is it achieved? It is not known exactly how it happens, or the Tibetan monks, for that matter, who say that their college made the ascension in the rainbow body, but the results of research say that happens is this: immediately after death and the departure of the soul, thus making the spiritual ascension that the soul attained during life by his efforts, the monk's body disintegrates in a matter of days because a large percentage of his body cells also attained the 5D frequency and thus made the physical ascension. Therefore, after death, since the cells of the body are still not held tightly together as when the soul was present, the 5D frequency cells follow their natural frequencies and go into the 5D plane and thus disappear from the 3D eyes of the surrounding witnesses due to the huge difference in frequency between 3D and 5D. What remains sometimes are some hard bones, hair and teeth that couldn't be fully converted into 5D vibration during life due to their very high physical density. How to achieve the rainbow body cannot be part of a publication. The Tibetan monks who attained the rainbow body used the Dzogchen tradition of high spiritual perfection, which is the highest of the 9 vehicles to liberation in Tibetan spiritual schools. The dissolution of the humankind cage leads to the recognition that there is no separate observer and nothing to observe, just as there is no center when there can be no separate observer. This gives rise to the end of duality. Interestingly, this also gives rise to the end of the time. Time can only exist in relation to something else. When there is nothing else, there can actually be no time. Therefore, time is also the result of the self-centered humankind consciousness, the result of the cage. It is the result of limitation in our consciousness and the result of duality. When we realize all this, enlightenment occurs. Effects described. In the initial states of the rainbow body, while still alive, bodily changes begin to occur, starting with the inner and outer skin becoming extraordinarily soft. Nerves and muscles gradually relax. Bones, membranes, and cartilage become flexible. Blood and semen change from a liquid to a thick state. The brain and all his parts become spongy and expand like a flower. Through the whole body seeps the amrita or nectar of the goddess, the drink that flows from the crown chakra down into the body and tastes sweet like burnt sugar when it passes through the throat chakra, and grants immortality when it flows unabated. The face becomes bright, delicate, and harmonious, making evident the inner state of supreme bliss. When this state is deepened, the senses can perceive everything without being limited by any barrier or obstacle. The eyes can have a vision of the whole universe. That is why they are not interested in observing the things of the world. They are able to see the content of all worlds and beings, both external and internal, without this vision being hindered by barriers as dense as walls or as high as mountains. Their tongue tastes all flavors. Their skin experiences all tactile sensations. Their nose smells all smells. Their ears are filled with melodies, being able to hear any sound produced anywhere. With their arms and hands, they can pick up a thing regardless of distance, or give it to another wherever they are. They can reach any destination without the need for their legs to make any physical movement, moving without stepping on the ground. With their voice, they can communicate with anyone, anywhere in the universe and even beyond. They will be free from the need to consume food, to satisfy the sexual urge, and to feel fear. The body, exempt from defects and impurities, is refreshed, doesn't excrete, doesn't perspire, and does not cast a shadow on the ground. Their external appearance corresponds approximately to 12 years of age. Their hair doesn't turn grey. Their skin doesn't wrinkle, doesn't age, and is not under the control of death. His chest and heart swell, throbbing with love. The four aspects of the mind are illumined and in total harmony. All visible parts of the body radiate ecstasy. The ego has disappeared. God, in the form of supreme love, fills these pure bodies with divine life. Not being subject to any limitation, those who have attained the Pravana and Sudha Deham states are able to create and destroy according to their own will, to resurrect a dead man and to restore an old man to youth. Their knowledge is divine knowledge, their action is divine action, and divine grace is manifested through them. Even the most insignificant inanimate thing will be called into a conscious life only by the grace of the gaze and by their mere presence. The grandeur and glory of their divine states will necessarily cover what is said by the 6 traditional spiritual disciplines: Vedanta, Siddhanta, Kalanta, Bodhanta, Nadanta, Tantra, and Yoganta. But it will transcend and surpass them all, this divine state being what will lead them to attain a total and perfect bliss. A true nature is the highest state attainable in meditation. They are completely naked, free of any concept or idea, and surrounded by a colorful aura signifying the state of the rainbow body of great transference. They are named Kuntuthangpo in Tibetan, Samantabhadra in Sanskrit, means always good or always well. This is what we really are. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.